After weeks, it's finally done. Wait, wrong book. As of recording this, I have finished the book I've been reading for the past several days, Lighter by Young Pueblo. One of the most interesting books that come to mind, and generally speaking, it helped a lot in the case I'm looking for. In my own experience of reading and jotting down ideas, there's so many different ways to go about a finished book. How do you go about it is up to you. But with this video, I'm here to explain the journey. You come to this video knowing that you finished a book. It's one of the longest pieces of literature you've ever read, or the size of a magazine. Gun size, not the actual magazine paper. That means that, in a general terms, a book can last from one day to a whole year. And depending on how long you took at it, you should feel proud of the achievement nonetheless. Books take forever to consume. They're a lot like TV shows in the fact that rewatching it from time to time helps aid the process, but you need to go through that long journey up the road to get to the point you are now. I know that books take forever because writing one is an even longer process, and understanding what it takes and how it goes about the book should be the main agenda you have. So first and foremost, appreciate how far you've come with a book. You made it to this point because you've longed the pieces that made. And it's been a wonderful journey to just read a piece of literature, something greater than life, and to be able to appreciate what you see and hear with your eyes. It's such a weird imaginary situation, but seeing those words come to life is a wonderful feeling, no matter if it's fiction or nonfiction. But then there's the dichotomy. Nonfiction and fiction books have two different paths to take after you finished. Finishing either one, depending on what kind of book it is, really determines how you'll be in the next several days, weeks, and months. So let me prepare you for it with my own taste and experience. Now that I've finished this Young Pueblo book, I know that this piece is nonfiction. It's a nonfiction story that tells the life of someone who got huge into self-improvement and self-care. Yet I still want to go into the psyche that comes with it. And one of the biggest tips I'd say for nonfiction books, no matter if it's cooking, math, or like I said here, a self-help improvement book, is to write down the ideas. Jotting your ideas left and right helps determine what you want out of the book. How you read it is what you consume. You wanted to read the book for cooking, you wanted to read the book for math, or you wanted to read the book to get better at general life. Write those ideas down. The author took months and maybe even years to come up with this product, and you finished it in the span of however long you did. So use that information, no matter the length of the time or duration. Use it to your effective ability to then just read exactly what it takes to get far in what you want out of it. I read this mathematics book for college despite getting it in middle school, and even if I didn't understand the entire idea perfectly from start to finish, there are some center points that continue coming back whenever I go to math class because I know what the math problem is, and seeing those in the textbook helped me understand why I read it in the first place. Now, it sounds school-like to write down these ideas. I get that. But you need to know exactly what it takes in reading these novels, or more accurately, these books. Books come far and few between, but always remember to not only to sit down with the idea, but write it as it is. Now, after you finished writing just general points of the book, you need to take time to fully understand what made you read it. You read that book for a specific reason. You wanted to get good at a skill. That's what most nonfiction books are, to help educate your mind and learn exactly what it takes to get ahead in the field you want to. So understand the major points that come with it. Realize the huge ideas, not just jot down random ideas, but come with one central point, the reason why you craved for that book. Once you've done that with like a centerpiece of paper and getting to the point you are, stop reading. It sounds like a crazy statement, but to fully wrap your head around a nonfiction story, the key is to sit with it. I know this because I've read many textbooks, and while it's more on the educated stuff, the greater benefit I received from that book, whether that be math or cooking, the better I got The idea of not reading for a good while may seem bad, but it's a lot like consuming television, in which sitting with the show itself instead of moving to a grander idea is a much better alternative. You can't do the same with movies, music, or video games, even if I don't advise the last point. They are consumable from one point to the next. You can't do that with TV shows and books. And for books specifically, they take a while to get through. So pat yourself on the back, stop reading, and understand the points you made. And with that notion, the final step with a nonfiction book once you finished is to simply take action. Taking action is the key to everything we do. We don't want to consume something just because. We have our reasons for consuming it. And if we don't take the actions that the author or writer illustrated in that book, then what are we doing with our time? We just wasted a huge amount of time. Like if you watched a mindless video that you lost the time to, all because you couldn't sit with it. If you don't sit with it and then thereafter take action, it'd be the largest waste that you could possibly think of. And it's good to read this story or whatever kind of textbook in mind. The self-help book was amazing to go back to every single night. It made sure I went to bed early, and I feel proud and grateful of the experiences I've made. But I know now I need to sit with the ideas and take action to my own better care of my life and continually improving from here. That's all for nonfiction. Fiction books, however, I strive for the complete opposite. In my previous videos, I mentioned a book, Less, by Andrew Sean, whatever his last name was. And in that book, it was a whole bunch of storytelling techniques that helped me aid in my own current book I'm writing now. It's been a wonderful journey, even if flawed book. But with fiction novels, it's so much different to a nonfiction tutorial guide that most books are in that field. Fiction books are a key to how we act. It's the stories that are made into movies and TV shows, and it's the wide screen that we can picture ourselves, a la Harry Potter or The Lord of the Rings. The thing with fiction novels is that it usually takes one author, one key idea instead of the many points a nonfiction writer would deliver. And to fully wrap your head around that fiction story, no matter the size or the shape of the book itself, remember to review it. Reviewing a piece of work helps aid what the author was trying to go for. It helps aid why we read that book in the first place. And to understand why we continue to read, that's exactly why fiction novels are so important and visceral. The creative ventures from the artist's mind that help conceive and write what they're trying to go for, and understanding why we do the things we see in that, just sharing it out to the world, whether that be on a piece of paper or to whoever, that's the best point you can create. Some of the greatest books of all time are the ones that continue to be talked about. Why are so much teachers and high schools still reading Of Mice and Men or To Kill a Mockingbird? We're 1984. They may be cliche as a classic, but they're a classic for a reason. Even in the books with less recognition, the more standardized books made from one writer's perspective, it's good to review it and talk with somebody about that idea. The amount of times I talked about the 9 books I read last year to my friends was more than I could count. It was such an amazing journey that discussing it made them want to read the book. With that in mind, you should check out that video to see more stories alike. But I'm not here to advertise those stories. I'm here to tell you what to do now. Similarly, like nonfiction stories, taking action is the big step after reading a fiction story. You have all the words right there on the paper. Write down whatever you want to do next and then pursue it. If you want to create a similar literary novel, go for it. If you want to create an artwork or start a business out of that one fictional story, then go on ahead. It all depends on you and how you activate and work in your own life to see the journey you can prosper from here on out. And with that final notion, the last point about a fiction novel is to really read more and more. It's the complete opposite of a nonfiction story, in which I strive to take time and appreciate the beauty of it. But like a movie or piece of music, you can continue going from one artist's work to another and continually get inspired to make the thing you want to. How awesome would it be to achieve your dreams just by a book you're reading? Sometimes it's a good lesson to see how bad characters are, like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. But it's also good to see how we can use that in our own day-to-day life. I, for one, know that I love to copy fictional characters, in books specifically, seeing their mindset and how they act to improve my own behavior. And that's the power of storytelling and the power of fiction novels in general. I've always wanted to write a story. It's been one of my greatest passions I've ever done. And now having the ability to write a story with my first book on a Google Doc, while not published, it is one of the most proudest achievements I've ever could have done at this young of age. I know I'll continue to get better, yet all it takes is to continue reading, whether that be to sit with nonfiction ideas from the math to the cooking to fictional stories in which I inspire many of my characters out of. Inspiration comes from far and many places. It can start from the room you're living in to the city in the furthest block in the neighborhood. But understand that your piece is what's key, and educating what it takes to write and create is the key I want to pursue with this video. Take action, learn from our mistakes, continue to do well, exactly what we're trying to go for. That's the big key I want to point out with this video. Where do we go from here? The future is broad, and in my own experience, I haven't had much time to think about the stories I've written. As I've explained at the start of this video, my mic broke, but it's kind of hard to maintain the money factor of simply balancing on writing, making these videos, and money, to then be able to spend it all on these books. So remember the hundreds of outlets you have, whether that be an audiobook or an ebook, and consume at your own will. It's not bad to be a consumer. Consumers are great at taking ideas and sharing it to the world. That's how some of the most successful people in our lifetime became the way they did. They shared what they consumed from other people's ideas, built it on their own, and created a community. That's exactly what I'm striving for here. And if you help me so I can help you, it would greatly benefit what I'm trying to go for. But in the end, all you have to do is think ahead. Think of the books you're getting. You don't want to be too picky on what you want, but plan exactly what it is. If you know you need to get better at this skill, read that book. If you know you want to read a certain fiction novel that you judge by the cover, yes, but the description hooked you, then go for it. They say never judge a book by its cover, but sometimes that's the biggest key in what you want out of reading and this journey you're creating. It will be a long journey from this point onward, but understand that you have what it takes. You have all the resources in mind, and reading this far has led you to feel more liberating. Books have the ability to set our mind straight. It's why it's so much more long-lasting compared to movies and TV shows at times, because the technology, while not perfect, language hardly changes. It may get stupider with time, but the general English language stays the same, even back in 18th century's time. Because it's the key that connects us all, the way we communicate and talk with people. And I would love to shout out my second channel with that point, but understand that you have what it takes. Talk with these ideas, take the action, and plan ahead. Plan exactly what book you're trying to be successful for. And if not, you could always just check out my book in the top link of the description. Thank you for checking this out, and I want to strive that you have everything it takes to continue writing, to continue reading, and continue making something greater than yourself. It's the way humanity will be balanced and restored, and it's the way you, my friend, will continue to evolve from here. Thank you. Check out my other socials in the link of the description, and until next time, take care, and keep on reading. Or don't if it's a nonfiction book. Just depends. Alright, see ya.